This episode of the Turf District podcast is brought to you by Taproot Spotlight, a service that helps businesses and organizations pay attention to the people they serve. Taproot tells you the news about the people and companies that are important to you. Use that information internally to keep everyone on the same page, or share it with the world in your newsletter, on your website, and on your social media channels. Paying attention pays dividends. Find out more at taprootpublishing.ca/spotlight. That's taprootpublishing.ca/spotlight. Enjoy the show.
We ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody light me up.
It's time to huddle up. It's the Turf District podcast. Welcome back to the Turf District, where we huddle up to talk all things Edmonton Elks and the CFL. And we're a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported, and also a part of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. I'm Andrew, and welcome into the Turf District tonight. Thank you for joining us on YouTube if you're watching that way. And of course, if you've downloaded the podcast, thank you so much for downloading. Make sure that you jump in there, leave a review, hit subscribe, tell all your friends, do all those things. And if you're live with us on YouTube, make sure you throw your questions into the chat right below for our amazing guest this evening. And good thing we timed it right after Saskatchewan lost that game, which makes it all the more fun to chat on our show this evening. Of course, with me as always is super fan Mike.
Woo! Oh, it's gonna be a good one. I can feel it. I can feel the energy.
Like and subscribe right up by your head.
That's right. Oh yeah. Like I said, they've been waiting for this one for a while, so this is gonna be fantastic.
Absolutely. And Commissioner wasn't able to join us this evening, but I'm sure that she will be back next week as we talk more things. But let's bring in our guest, Mike. We got to get to this guest. We have waited for a very long time. Our guest played 10 seasons with the Green and Gold, including, of course, the 5-in-a-row Grey Cup dynasty. He was a CFL All-Star in 1978 and a West All-Star in 1976, 1978, and 1982. He is finally going up on the Wall of Honor this year. Welcome to the podcast, number 29, Mr. Joe Hollimon. We're so glad you're here.
Good evening, and I hope all of Edmonton is doing well.
We are, and doing better now with this news. I mean, I know it's been way too long, but now you're going up on the Wall of Honor. And how does it feel to be added to that group? And what was it like when you got the call?
It was shocking. It was a surprise. I thought it was a joke.
Really?
But I know Alan Watt, so, I didn't think Alan would be joking with me about it. But just totally thrilled, but not really sure. Because he had first called me and told me that he wanted to do an interview with me. And somebody wanted to talk to me via radio. And he gave me a time for him to call. And when he called, he said, this is actually not for an interview. I just wanted to tell you that you had been selected to be put on the, almost said Eskimo, on the Elks Wall of Fame or Wall of Honor. And I about fell out of my chair. Yeah, I said, hey, Alan, can you give me a chance to just sit down for a moment? Because I was in my office, my son and I were working on some client stuff, and when he told me, I said, just hold up for a second. I need to get into my personal office so that we can talk, okay? And so it was because in my own mind, all right. I'll just be totally honest with you. After I not retired, but after the Eskimos kind of let me go, and the way they did, this honor, I always hoped that one day I would be recognized at this. But after 10 years being out of the league, and like I said, the way that my contract with the Eskimos were terminated, or my playing days were terminated, and it didn't happen at that time, I thought if it ever happened, it would be one of my grandkids that would have to accept the honor post-mortem.
Yeah.
Does it more special now that you're going in with Ed Jones and with Jim Germany, like two of your teammates for so many years?
That's a total honor. That is a total honor. And quite a few of our what they call a dynasty team are already on the wall.
Right.
And I'm just proud that I get to see the day. All right, providing that God continues to give me breath through the 13th of August. All right, I'm just proud that Jim Germany is getting his recognition. Ed Jones, who deserves everything, gets his recognition. And of course, I'm thrilled as I could be that I'm included among the three.
That is fantastic. We love going back to the very beginning when we have guests on the show. Of course, we're going to talk lots about your playing time, but even at the very beginning, like who introduced you to football, and when did you start playing?
Wow, I started playing when I was in the 8th grade, and I got interested in football because an older brother off of the plantation where I grew up on in Arkansas was playing football. And the reason he started playing football is that he had already dropped out of high school. He was 17 years old, and he had already dropped out of high school and was headed to Nebraska to enter into the workforce. And that same year, 1968, my dad and mom convinced him that he needed to go back to high school and finish, not because he needed to finish high school, but because I had two older sisters that were still, in high school, and myself going into junior high school, and a sister going into elementary school. And that was a year that our plantation school that had nothing but African-American kids in it was closed down, and we merged and was bused 5.5 miles away to the Caucasian school, to the white school, where we integrated, and that was our first year. So my mom and dad convinced one of my older brothers, the one that was 17, I have 3 that were older than him, they convinced him to go back to school for our protection.
Wow.
Holy cow.
And he started playing football with the team, and I got to go to some of the practices where I got to see football for the first time in my life. Prior to this, I had never ever touched a real football with my own hands ever. The little school that we were going to on the plantation, we made our own baseball bats, and we would get a rubber, one of the softballs, and we call it a town ball because it was so big. All right, and we played baseball with it, but we didn't play baseball like baseball, baseball today.
Right.
Our ball was, you could throw it and hit the person and get them out.
Literally get them out.
Hardcore dodgeball.
Yes, with a softball.
Wow.
And if you didn't make it on the bases, you got between bases. Some of the bigger kids don't understand this. In that old school, it was one room for grades 1 through 4. The other room was grades 5 through 8. And we all played on the playground together at recess. And you might have a 4th grader, 3rd grader playing against an 8th grader that could zing that ball.
That's true. Yeah.
And we had a 16-inch bicycle rim that we nailed to a light pole, in which we kind of manufactured from old planks, a backboard, and that was our basketball hoop with a plastic ball.
Wow.
And we had one 4-seat metal swing set. Have no idea where it came from, but that was our playground equipment. The rest of it was running, jumping, and one day a year we would have what's called a field day. And that's when we would go to another African-American school in another town, and we would compete athletically. And other schools around would come into that same day. It was just like a track meet today, but it was only for one day, and it was called a field day. And there was no training for it or nothing. You just showed up and you competed.
That's amazing.
Oh man, I mean, I know that time really wasn't as long ago as we think it is, but it's funny when we're talking like this, and it's like, okay, like you lived in that first part of that, and then and then came out on the other side where you now are playing football, and then out of nowhere you come to Canada. Like that's like what
when I came to Edmonton, guys, really, when I got on the plane in Memphis, Tennessee, because there was no airport in Arkansas big enough to fly me out of there to Edmonton, I had no idea where Edmonton was. The only thing I knew about it, I mean, I'm a senior in college now, okay, or just finished my 4th year of college ball. The only thing I knew is that Calvin Harrell, who was on my college football team, was playing there.
Right.
I had no idea where I was going.
Really?
I did not know where Edmonton was. I wanted to play football, and that was it. And my college coach, a guy named Bill Davidson, had actually came to Edmonton after Calvin was in Edmonton as a guest coach, and he knew Coach Ray Yock. And the Minnesota Vikings had let me go. And when I got released by the Vikings, Earl Lonsford and Mike Riley were in Winnipeg because I had gone there to visit them in February. And the snow was about yay high.
That sounds about right.
And I'm standing on the sidewalk in front of the hotel that we're checking in. And I see all these little antennas go down. I can hear the cars, but I can't see them because of the snow piles. And the weekend before, this was a news report when I checked in the hotel, was the weekend before, 2 people got out of their car and froze to death in a snowdrift because their car stalled. And, they're trying to convince me. Like I said, I had no idea. They're trying to convince me how beautiful Winnipeg is in the summertime. And the girls in bikinis and the parks. I'm saying, hell no. And they wanted me to sign a contract in February. All right, myself and our fullback from Arkansas State both made the trip to Winnipeg. And we both thought we were going to get drafted by the NFL. And I had only played 3 games my senior year, and I had a knee injury. And so, I mean, I was glad that Winnipeg was even calling, period, somebody from a professional. But I said, I want to see where I get drafted at, or if I'm going to get drafted in the NFL before I make a commitment to you in Winnipeg. And I think they got a little PO'd at my decision the day Minnesota let me go, which was like a Thursday before their final preseason game. Okay. Before I left Minnesota Vikings football camp, Earl Lonsford had called me and said, I want you to go back home, and within 2 weeks, we want you back in Winnipeg. 3 weeks later, no call from the Blue Bombers. And that's when I talked with my head coach, because I had gone back to Arkansas State, and I was there working out, and he wanted to know why was I back there. I said, for whatever reason, the Minnesota Vikings didn't see fit to keep me, and I got into one game on one punt cover, and the ball went the other side of the field away from me. So that was my only action in the NFL, period, was to cover one punt. I played against the Cowboys down at Texas Stadium before they moved into the stadium they're in now. And can't think of the guy's name. I just had a little brain fart. But anyway, the defensive back coach kept telling me, get ready. You're going to go in. Get ready. You're going to go in. And in the final seconds of the 4th quarter, that was the same song that was being sang.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I got in that game. And that was the 3rd preseason game with the Vikings, and that next Thursday got called in to Bud Riley's office, not Bud Riley, whatever that guy's name was with the Winnipeg. I mean, with Winnipeg going on to
Lunsford. Yeah.
Oh, Lunsford.
No, Wow, the coach of the Minnesota Vikings,
Oh.
Bud Grant,
Bud Grant, yeah,
who had also coached in Winnipeg. All right, and the rest is kind of like history. Let me go, and so my coach made that call. Ray Yock said, "You got a left corner. We've been looking for one for 2 years." What's so crazy about it, guys? When I got to Edmonton, when I got off the plane at Edmonton, on the way from the airport with the guy named Tom Pond. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but Tom Pond picked me up at the airport and was taking me back to Edmonton. We got at that time between the airport and almost where South Center is. There was nothing out there. Okay,
no, it wouldn't have been. No, yeah.
The Convention Inn was the first sign of life coming from the airport. I don't even think it's named the Convention Inn anymore, is it?
Yeah, the Shaw Convention Center, I think, was the most recent one.
Yeah. But somebody
Convention Inn, right?
And then I was wondering, what in the hell did I get myself into? I don't know if it was somebody that knew who Tom Pond was. But when we stopped at 103 and a Calgary Trail, somebody jumped out of their car and ran around and grabbed the back of Tom's Pond's car and just started shaking it. And I said, "What the hell did I just grabbed the car and started shaking it?" Man, and I don't know who it was. Evidently Tom did, because he didn't get upset at it. Yeah, and he took me on over to the Edmonton Inn, and later on took me to the stadium. And and the day I checked into the Edmonton Inn, this is wild. A guy named Vince Faison had played in Edmonton a couple of games, and he was checking out of the hotel. He only stayed in the hotel 2 days. And Mike Fink had already checked in the hotel, and he was playing his first game, taking Vince Faison's spot. Wow. And then here I am in the hotel, and 2 days after I check in, another guy checks into the hotel for the same position. It was like there was 4 guys inside of 4 days that I met that were all in Edmonton to play left corner.
Wow.
Again, holy man.
What did I get myself into?
Yeah, no kidding.
And but I stayed on my 5-day trial. It turned into 5 weeks. And I played all positions in the secondary, and I played all receiver spots, and I played at tailback during the practices during that period of time. I was dead set that Edmonton was going to need me. And that's what I told Noam Kimball the following year when I came back to training camp.
Yeah. Boy, did we.
If I don't make your football team during the training camp, you better keep me around, because not that you're going to want me, you're going to need me before this year is over.
So true.
And those are the words that I use. So with only about 4 games left to go in the 1975 season, I made the decision that I was going to go back to Arkansas, go back to training and work out, because at this point, this is October, I got injured in September the year before. So I haven't played a real football game in just over a year. So I said, I'm going to go back and I'll do my winter training and spring training, and I'll come back next year and I'll start off on an even playing field with all of the defensive backs that has come through, will come through, and then have already gone. And the next year I come back and I find out that over the previous 2 years, count them, 17 ball players came to the Eskimos at that time, now the Elks, to play that left cornerback spot.
Yeah. It was a revolving door for sure.
You had to find the right guy. Yeah. Now,
and out of the 17,
I mean, needed one. What did you think, though, when you first saw like the size of the field? Because it's so different than what you would have been used to.
I kind of panicked.
Okay. Fair. Yeah.
I hadn't been involved in a game. Right? But I got all of that down during the time, the 5 weeks that I was there for a 5-day trial. All right. 1 day a week for the 5-day trial. And also, I got mentally conditioned to the extra 5 yards on each side of the field on the 55-yard line, the extra 10 yards, and the 25-yard deep end zones. So when I came back in spring of '76, it was not a shock to me.
Nice.
I understood it and I knew it. I knew what I was getting into when I came back, because I paid close attention to practices and to games that I was not involved in. So I actually learned the CFL on the fly.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
amazing. So, I mean, you talked about when you first came there, it was Ray Yawk was the coach.
Yeah.
And in your first year, and then in your second year, they made a change and Hugh Campbell came in. What was it like switching between Coach Yawk and Coach Campbell?
It's night and day. Night and day. Coach Yawk, I mean, they're both winners in their own right. But Coach Yawk was a disciplinarian. He was a hands-on, you're going to do it my way or here's a highway. All right. And that was good. I mean, it's football. I'm a player. I'm coachable. You tell me that, here's a brick wall, run through it. I'm going to try to find myself on the other side of it. All right. I understand football. I understood Ray Yawk. I had been coached by coaches like that since the 8th grade. And Hugh Campbell was a total surprise. He came in, and first thing, he got rid of curfews. What? You don't have to come to training camp and stay in the dorm if you don't want to. What? Yeah, you can stay at home. Just this is the practice time. This is the time to be here for the meals. This is the time for your meetings. And if you want to go wherever, just. But you know what? That kind of philosophy, though, I think kind of made us who we were.
Mm.
Hugh's philosophy was, I'm not going to cut you. You cut yourself. I'm not going to release you.
Yeah.
I mean, Hugh had not long before he became a coach was a player. All right. And I believe that his low-key approach let us grow up and be men. And when I say be men, by now, since I've been playing football since I was 8th grade. I know how long I can stay up on the night before a game to go play my best game. I know the kind of regime that I need to have on the week before the game in order to play my best game. And if I go screw that up, that's my fault. That's not Hugh's fault. That's not the coach's fault. All right. But, when you got that disciplined coach and you're a grown man yourself, you know what? You're looking for a way sometimes to kind of break and bend the rules. But when Hugh said, throw all the rules out. I trust you. And that 33 players that follow my rule the best are going to be the 32 players that we're going to go to war with this year.
Wow. And it's amazing, right? Treat people like people, and they find a way to
get the best out of all of us. And
absolutely.
Here's what happened to us through all of that. The leadership within the team started to step up.
Yeah.
And the leadership started saying, hey, you messing with my money now. No, you can't do that. No. Yeah. And we started leading from within rather than having somebody else put that thumb on you and hold you down and then want to find you or, run your butt off at practice because you did something wrong. No, we all knew when we did something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And if a coach didn't have to tell you, your teammates would. They'd be like, dude. Okay.
During the season, Hugh, maybe once or twice during the week before a game, we would do 2 or 3 wind sprints. Everything else was like half speed, 3/4 speed. But you know what guys finally started doing? All during practice, when you were not involved with drills, you'd see guys sprinting up and down the sidelines, doing our own conditioning and getting any kind of conditioning that we need to have in. It was just a total different machine.
Wow.
Because we liked it. And in 1977, when we lost to Montreal, that was the worst feeling in our entire team's life. Even though we know why we lost, we still lost. We lost because Tony Proudfoot found a staple gun inside their locker room that they could use to put staples into their shoes from the inside, and they could actually get traction on the ice field in Montreal.
Yeah.
But now the league come back and said, well, the deficit of the difference between the two scores is too great for us to do anything about it. Hell, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
they had spikes in their shoes, and we had rubber shoes.
Yeah.
Some of our guys were wearing broom ball shoes.
Right. And the other team's cutting on a dime.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they got tiger claws, and we got broom ball shoes.
Well, I would say that you guys found a way to make a point after that, which is great.
The next year.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so 1978 rolls around, Commonwealth Stadium opens. Do you remember that first game in Commonwealth? Because it would have been so different.
BC Lions.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. You had a good game, as I recall.
No pop. Yes. Matter of fact, you know what? I didn't know it for a few years afterwards because it never really dawned on me that I scored the first touchdown in Commonwealth Stadium.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah.
It was a few years after that I even realized that took place. I was just playing ball.
Wow. Oh, yeah,
that's it wasn't a biggie. It was what I did. It was just this is what I do. You get on the football field, they make a mistake, you make them pay. They made a mistake by throwing the ball.
I hope you are a guest speaker when you come up here in August. We could use that. That's important. Our team now would be very happy to hear that.
See, that's the thing about the team at that time. I mean, you either threw to your side, and that was pick your poison there, or you threw to the other side and Larry Hibaugh's side.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, what do you even do if you're an opposing offensive coordinator? So, do you have any good stories about Larry Hibaugh?
Yes. Every time we had a pregame meal, most of the time Larry and I would wind up sitting at the same table, and we'd go in, and there'd be dinner rolls in the center of the table, and Larry would go in and get 3 or 4 dinner rolls and just squeeze them and lay them beside his plate. Hibaugh is the only person I ever know that can make a whole meal off of just bread. No butter, no nothing, just bread. But he would always squeeze 3 or 4 of the dinner rolls up and lay them on the table beside his plate. So nobody, he squeezed them in his hand. Nobody else is going to.
He called it.
That's like him calling dibs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every meal. And I don't know if you guys remember the Italian, or about the Italian district.
Oh yes.
The Eskimos had the Elks had a really good friend, and Ralph Mail. He used to own a grocery store just before you got to Commonwealth Stadium. Mm-hmm. And every practice, guys would go in and buy the big hoagie sandwiches, and he'd load it up with meats. Larry would go in and get a roll. No meat, just a bun. And go into Commonwealth Stadium, into the meeting rooms, lay on the floor and eat bread. That's why he got the nickname Booty.
That's incredible. Oh my! Now you're on one side, like Mike said. Hibaugh's on the other. Who was the hardest receiver to cover when you were in the CFL, or who was the guy that you maybe looked forward to going up against the most, or who was the guy that you're like, oh God, I hate that guy?
Brian Kelly.
Brian. Oh, that's awesome.
Every day in practice. Yeah. Yeah. Howdy, dadgum duty. Opposite that, for other teams, there was one, and then there were 2 that were, I would say, kind of maybe tit for tat, and both of them were inducted into the CFL Hall of Fame last year. And it was Terry Greer. Mm-hmm. Terry had sheer speed, All right. And then Mervin Fernandez came along later with speed and finesse.
Yeah.
Right. Terry Greer was not going to be the guy that makes the cuts, but if you gave him an inch, he'd try to take a mile. Tom Borzani was kind of like a Brian Kelly type player. He was most difficult, but my speed, which Terry and Ray never gave me confidence, never gave me credit for having, made up for the finesse that Tom Forzani had.
Wow. Now, so you line up against these guys, and you talk about the speed, finesse, all these types of things. Were you a talker on the field? Would you trash talk them, or would you wait until you got down the field?
Well,
was that an uncomfortable question?
let's say this. They knew I was there.
Okay, that's perfect. Oh my, that's awesome.
So
I wish I could think of the guy's name. It was an African American receiver played with Winnipeg, and it was year 2 when I had the shoulder separation, and I missed 8 weeks, 6 games, which most people would think that would be crazy. I had a total torn up shoulder, and after 6 weeks, we took the pins out. 2 weeks later, I played against the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Regina. But hey, it was my second year, and I really had not made the team yet. I was still a possibility, so to speak, in year 2. Can you repeat in year 1? And then I got injured in game 3. So now, oh dang, I got to go back. I got to re-up some stuff here. Now I got to open this whoop ass can again. So I only stayed out as long as the doctor said I was not going to re-injure myself. Okay. And 8 weeks, I was on the 8th week, I lined up against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Wow.
And the first real tackle helped me to understand that maybe another week might not have hurt. That tackle killed you.
Yeah, I bet.
That's awesome.
But I got through it. No more injuries, and kind of like got the shock over, and we went on
and won the game too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So you did 10 years playing with Edmonton. Do you have anything you would call your proudest moment or proudest memories in green and gold?
Yes. Probably the proudest moment would be winning the 4th Grey Cup, something that had never been done in the history of the CFL or any other professional organization in the world, winning 4 consecutive championships.
That was amazing.
Best team to ever field in the CFL. That would have
been the proudest, moment, and shared by the entire team.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Winning 3, and we tied the other best team, which was Edmonton Eskimo team.
Yeah.
Winning the 4th one, kind of put the icing on the cake, and the way we won the 4th one.
Yes, sir.
Amazing game. Superfan, let's get to some fan questions.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people who would love to ask questions if they can.
See those grown men cry in red and black.
So
they had us. They already won the game and celebrated in the champagne bottles, and
that's amazing. All right. So we've got some fans would love to ask some questions. These are just going to be kind of random order here. Paul Reckner wants to know, who were the earliest leaders stepping up in the room at the beginning there, 76, 77?
I would say we had Charlie Turner. Right, was one of the guys that stepped up and Charlie was a true leader, and not by words. Charlie's actions and mannerism was a great leader. Of course, Dan Kepley, John Faringer, right? And highball, again, not so much as the words that were spoken, but just his preparation for the game, and the things that he did in practice and on the game field.
He was teaching you all to eat bread. It's very important. Yeah,
exactly.
Follow him with the bread. Just look at what he does. Don't do what he does. Look at what he does.
that's right.
Perfect. Coach Vic wants to know. Coach Vic wants to know, aside from the many Grey Cups, what are your fondest memories of living in Edmonton?
Probably the people. The people. All right, I met some fantastic families, some fantastic people. I have friends still in Edmonton. Prior to our pandemic, I usually visit Edmonton twice a year.
Wow.
Right? And
wow, okay.
And still have a business entity in Edmonton that is going on.
Oh, amazing.
And I love the people in Alberta. And well, let me take that lie back. I love the people in Edmonton. I'll give a rat's butt about people living in Calgary. But I love the people from Red Deer North.
Well, like I said, all Edmonton kids know their ABCs. Anyone but Calgary.
Yeah.
Yes.
You talked about Brian Kelly. Apparently, Brian Kelly actually was at our training camp this year,
Really?
and he ran every stair of the lowest deck of the stadium the entire way around. Just incredible.
Brian is an amazing person.
Yeah.
Mentally and internally, he's an amazing individual.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more here.
Every tailgate, I'm like, geez, you could still suit up.
So he's going to training camp.
Yeah,
I'm sure that Brian right now can still turn the youngest defensive back in the league. Right, he could turn him upside down, inside out, and he wouldn't have a clue which way Brian went.
That's amazing. Okay, last question from the fans here. This is from Leanne. She has a question for Mr. Hollimon. Someone apparently that knew your children, little Jimmy Jackson, would like to know how Tori, Trent, and Terry are doing. He says hello.
They are doing wonderful.
That's awesome.
I believe Trenton and his daughter is coming back to Edmonton with me.
Phenomenal.
Terry and his 4 kids, 1 son, 3 daughters. They're working on getting all of their airline stuff together right now. And Tori and his 3 kids will not be coming because he refuses to take the vaccine.
Right.
Wow. At home.
That makes it tough.
And I'm not gonna be worried with 2 7-year-old twins and a 5-year-old.
You've done your time.
Oh, that's home. All right. Well, let's. I want to get you out of here on this one. Thank you so much for your time, by the way. We really appreciate it. Yeah. But we asked this of all of our alumni members that come on because there was something about being in that locker room and being part of that team, and there was something about being an Eskimo, being an Elk, and so we ask our alumni members, what does the Eskimo way mean to you?
It's kind of a way of life. It's a family atmosphere, and we'll fight like hell among each other, but don't nobody else come in and try to pick a fight. Now you just got a whole bunch of people pissed at you. Okay. But amongst ourselves, what's done in the Eskimo locker room should stay always in the Edmonton Eskimo locker room. I saw in a newspaper clip last week that somebody sent me the newspaper clip that the Edmonton Journal put out, and it explained what the word bone meant.
Mm-hmm.
When I was playing, it was just bone. What does bone mean? Just bone. I'm going to give you the bone. Yeah.
So eventually,
I knew the words that Bone stood for. David Boone coined that phrase, and that phrase was not supposed to get. Okay, the acronym, yes, everybody should know it, but nobody should know what the acronym stood for. That was in-house property.
yes.
That's
Oh,
amazing. Yeah, it went from Alberta crude to bone.
yeah.
No, Alberta Crude was part of Bone.
Right, that front four.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd show you before you got off too. I wanted to show you a little something that might jog some memories
All right,
back there.
look at that. All right. I'm
There we
taking
go.
it from you when I get there.
Yeah, at least hopefully get a chance to see you. And yeah,
I need one. I need one.
1982. That is your 82 jersey, your All-Star year.
All right. Well, fantastic.
That is awesome. Well, Joe, when you're up this way, I mean, I hear you're coming soon. If you have,
because I still have business in the city.
yes. Well,
right.
when you're
My American Financial Services, I'm not advertising it, but I actually brought that back to Edmonton. All right.
nice.
In 1986. But that being said, it's still operating and it's strong there still today. And I have approximately right around the area of 500 representatives that are still operating in the Alberta arena.
Oh, that's
That
fantastic.
are tied to me in some way, form, or fashion. And hopefully we can get all of those guys out to the stadium.
Yeah.
On the 13th and rooting the Eskimos on. The Eskimos wouldn't, the Elks. It's hard for me to do this, guys.
Yeah.
The Elks wouldn't give me 500 tickets to pass out, but
They should. There's enough room. Come on.
I have all of my teammates with Primerica in Edmonton and Fort McMurray and Fort Saskatchewan, Calgary.
Wow.
I said that word. Dear Adri, and all spots in between. I'd love to have you at the game on Friday or on Saturday, August 13th, and let's go with Elks.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, if you get time before, make sure you swing by the tailgate because we gotta feed you.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Yeah, that'll be sitting there as well.
I know the Elks want us to go by the Jackie Parker room, and Jackie Parker was a thin guy, and probably not gonna have much food there.
This is fantastic. Well, Joe, thank you so much for spending some time with us and telling us about your playing days. And congratulations on making the wall. An honor that should have been with you a long time ago, but we're so happy that you're finally getting up, and we can't wait to see your name go up on the wall.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
All right, everyone, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll be right back, everyone.
Right. Take
And we are back.
Whew. It's going to take 3 plastic surgeons to get the smile off my face, I swear.
Well, I could have just oh, well, I guess we have nothing better to do. We could just sit here and listen all night.
Yeah.
That was, oh my God, that was amazing. That was so good. And thank you again to Joe. And when he's up here in August, hopefully we'll get to meet him face to face and
for sure
say again how amazing this was. So, and thank you to all of you for the great questions. That was
absolutely. I wish we could there was more that came in after, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, including Cliffy asking if someone was watching Blue's Clues, which I appreciate, which it's just awesome. I think his phone rang. I don't know.
I don't know.
Awesome.
He says he's got a little tiny nephew there, so who knows?
Yeah. He said he was going to go talk to him, so who knows? But anyway, that was that was amazing. Superfan, we do have a little bit of Elks news to talk about,
do we?
Including Mr. Hollimon. There are 2 others, as we said, that are going up.
Yes.
On the wall. Jim Germany and Ed Jones. Man, that is going to be a great night.
That is going to be phenomenal. I sort of held out hope that maybe Joe Hollimon would go on the wall one day.
Yeah.
I mean, his stats alone were just absolutely improbable. He was a complete shutdown corner. He returned kicks and punts. His very first game at home, he had the 5 fumbles, but still made the team just because the last punt, he took 113 yards for a touchdown and made the team based on that. And just, I thought for sure he'd go in, but to get Jim Germany and Ed Jones in at the same time, like that's absolutely astounding and gives the 3 of the 5 defensive backs from that 5 in a row gang all going to be on the wall of honor, and rightfully so. They belong there for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that you and I have talked about a lot. Who's the next guy to go on? And almost always it's in like the top 2 is Joe Hollimon, but that's the next guy.
Yes. Big thanks to Gary. I ran into Gary Halati and he gave me an extra copy of that, which is going on my wall. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it was a great conversation, but I'm so glad to see those 3 guys going up, and
yes, sir.
And it'll change our conversation now of who's the next guy, right? Well, not for you. Yeah, I know it's still do it again. There you are. Yeah, still Charlie Turner.
Yes.
But you know, there's a bunch of other. Now I feel like we've almost honored that everyone that should be off of the 5 in a row, other than Charlie. I know, but
I think Charlie was there just the first year of the 5 in a row. He's there in 78. I think the only other person, I mean, apologies to Marco Sinkar, that of the 5 in a row gang, at least people that were in the dynasty era. I mean, I'd love to see more of the offensive line get in.
Sure.
We've actually had one of them on the show early on.
Very early. Yes.
Yeah, but a person I'd love to see on there is Neil Lumsden. I think one of those guys that was so integral to that team, blocking, running, catching the ball out of the backfield, and he was just a beast. And he, the rule is you have to have been not only exceptional while playing green and gold, you had to have been here 6 years. And so that does eliminate some players, but Neil definitely fits, and I think he should probably go up. But that might be the way to close that off, that incredible run of 5 in a row.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then we can get into some of these, some of the other guys as we've talked
then
about.
Marco.
Of course, Marco. Yeah. But there, I mean, lots of guys from the early 2000s we could talk about. So there's
90s. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would like to see
this is a great spot though.
Cross-generational things happen. It's great that the 3 guys from that era are going together, but I think for some of the fans, it'd be great to have like a Neil Lumsden and a Jason Tucker going in together. Right. So you've got something that appeals to fans from so many years. I think would be great.
I would love that for sure. Only one other Elks news note, and that is that they did sign defensive lineman Coney Ely, who was in the NFL and did play a few snaps for the Argos last year, and now was not in a spot. So we did sign him, but he did sign to the 1-game injured list. So
correct. Yeah.
I wonder if that's kind of almost like a tryout at that point.
I think it's a healthy scratch. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's something along those lines. So, all right. Well, now we have to move on to, probably the topic we don't want to talk about a little bit, but Yeah, the Elks fall to the Bombers last Friday night at home,
Wah, wah.
pushing it to now 1,014 days, I believe. Probably
It's
17
just
now, I guess.
too
We're at
many,
a
too
couple more
many.
since we have won at home. Now, I think the part with this one, though, is they had a chance to win this, and then they just
Sure.
kept kind of shooting their own foot off, especially because the Bombers kind of had an off night. And the defense definitely contributed in a lot of those spots. But
Yeah.
I know Manny said post game, he's like, a lack of finish. I'm like, stop me if you heard that one before.
Mhm.
And Coach Jones said the penalties and the field position were huge in this game, and there are lots of other things. Don't get me wrong, but so let's talk. Well, we need to talk about the game, but before we do that, can we send an extra special thank you to Justin Renfro for coming to the tailgate
Oh,
with the
yes.
yummy food? Holy man.
Grilled cheese beef brisket
Oh,
sandwiches.
yay. Those were so good. And
They
thank you,
really were.
Justin. It was amazing. And thank you to everyone that came to the tailgate, because that was
Yeah.
one of the most fun tailgates we've had in a while. Like, so many people there, and
Oh, for sure.
awesome.
And
So,
great
so
to see Chris Expegger
yeah. Yeah, he
and some
was
of his
amazing.
friends coming over. It's one of those things that we love to cheer for other teams, but when we're together, we're family. And
Right.
it was a great representation. We had some friends that were at their first football game that were there, and they just kept looking around. It's like, you guys are all just so friendly and happy and having fun, and there's like different colors, so you're different teams, and it's like, yeah, but until the game starts, we're all family. So then we got 3 hours off, and then we're family. So
100% agree.
yeah,
It was very, very good. It was amazing. All right, so let's talk about the game, Superfan.
nope.
There were some good ones. There were some good parts in there. So tell me what good parts you had.
Well, I mean, defensively, I think we did well. How many times can you think of that a quarterback completes 7 passes in a game for 188 yards? I mean, and wins the game.
It went
I mean,
right.
granted, the last time that happened was Chris Streveler against us 3 years
Oh,
ago, but still.
hey, hey.
Um,
Well, we like to set trends.
but I mean, he was
Long set.
43% for his passing. He had 2 interceptions, and I mean, he had that 181-yard pass near the end of the first half, and that just sort of
It was
was a bit of a
enormous.
dagger, right? But still, I think the defense has to get a lot for that. Um, yeah, we had more
Honestly,
carries.
I mean, to that point, really, I mean, the defense had held them to 17 for a lot of the game. That's a good defense. Like
Yeah,
that, and and we did have some ball control. We just couldn't
at the
finish.
at the end
Like,
of the third quarter, we were up 33 minutes time of possession to 11.
11, and we were down somehow.
Yeah,
Well, because we couldn't punch it in, and then
and short
we,
field for them.
three field goals and a one miss, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, so is that like a surge? Not really all the end to the end of Sergio, because that's like, come on, we need the. But again, if you're just doing field goals, field goals,
You got to get it in the end zone. Yeah.
correct. That is kind of how that's going to run. The ints were nice. Antigua's
Yeah.
interception was great, and then he tripped over his own imaginary feet. It was
Yep.
amazing.
Turf monster got him.
Twice, which was, well, he slipped the first time, and
Yeah.
then but
Got up, and that was it. Blew a tire.
yeah. And okay, we need to talk about Duron Carter for a second. So come on, Superfan. This is my feeling. He did get better as the game went on.
He did, and he's been away for. I mean, it's been
Right?
years.
Correct. Since he's played a game, right?
Yeah.
So the first part there with the the kick returns, a lot of dancing, not enough running, but
Right.
near the end of the game, running
A
forward.
little more north south. Yeah.
Right. Obviously he whiffed on the tackle on Dalton Schoen on that
Yeah.
massive 81 play that we just talked about. But then he got the interception, and he was in the perfect spot for that and had a good return after it. So I think this was one of those, hey, okay, he's getting back into it. So I don't want to just be like, but
No, but like you've got a good point. Like
did
it
great.
just, as the team gets better, as the team goes on, and as he goes on, it's getting better. So
Correct.
I think that's just what we have to look forward to. And Winnipeg capitalized on our mistakes. We didn't necessarily capitalize as much on theirs.
Absolutely. Wilson? Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Wilson again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a little more panning, you'd be able to see him. It's just like I thought Corndog had a decent game.
Well,
He had
it's because we had corn dogs for
absolutely
a
no.
tailgate.
Yeah. So see that. Oh, so we have to have corn dogs every tail? I hope not, because
They were popular.
Yeah, they were. But I thought he had a good game. 270 yards passing. Scrambled when he need to, which was a lot. Because that's going to come to when we talk about the bad part.
He
but-
looked like he wanted this badly.
Correct. I
He and
agree.
Kenny Lawler, I think, had the best. Like they were not going to be denied until they found. Like Lawler kept spinning out of tackles and pushing for as many yards, as many inches as he could get.
Yeah, I was so worried that the ball was going to pop out when he kept doing that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
no, he's still got it. Okay, he's just fighting.
He
for
wanted
yards.
to beat them
Yeah.
so badly.
Really
And those
bad.
two especially stuck out to me as someone that were putting in I hate 110%. It's such a cliche, but they really were putting in everything they had.
I would say those two for sure, and I would add Mac Henry to that list.
Yes.
He had a monster game. I understand it's not really showing up on the stat sheet, but he made a difference. Like
He led the team in tackles. Yeah, him and Niles Morgan.
But and so nice to see Niles back on the field too, right?
Yeah.
So very, very happy to see him back, and I hope we get him on here soon to chat with him about that, because he's a great dude on top of being a good football player. So all right, let's talk about some of the things to improve. There was a few of those.
Yeah, so I mean, and I sort of alluded to it before, Winnipeg had a short field. That special teams, I mean, I think our cover was a lot better.
Especially in the second half. Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree.
But our returns weren't so great. And then when there were penalties. And there were penalties. And there were penalties.
And yet we only took 8 penalties.
Only 8. That's sad that we're talking only 8 when they took 3.
Correct. No, I know, but again, for like we were 11 the last game, and so it's that's one of those things like, well, there was improvement. It's just the timing was, and in my personal opinion, the turning point of this game was the roughing the kicker penalty, because that made the drive for the Bombers continue, and they got the touchdown on that. We were only a touchdown out otherwise, and it was kind of in shot, but as soon as that second touchdown happened, it was like, oh, forget it.
Yeah.
Like there's no way, right?
I mean, you talk about 8 penalties, 5 of them were on special teams.
Oy, yeah.
Right. And that made such a difference. That's why we were ahead of them statistically. We had 270 yards. They had 188 yards. We had 25 completions. They had 7. But because they had such a short field comparatively to begin with, when we had that terrible interception, I mean, only 1 interception again, but it was a tough one because it led to points.
It was the timing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was, and one of the 7 completions was an 81-yard play.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.
I mean, you take away that play, he had 6 completions for 107 yards.
Like,
right?
So you'd say, if that was the case, you'd say, well, the defense did what they were supposed to.
Yeah. Outside of that one busted coverage, yeah.
They capitalized, right? They capitalized when they need to. So that was a tough one. In the improvement part, the O-line had a rough night.
Yes, they did. I mean, you're going against
is good, but
even without Jeff Coat in there. I mean, you still have a reigning most outstanding defensive player in Willie Jefferson. It's tough when you're talking about people that often say that is the best front 7 in the league currently. So your line is going to be tough. That being said, I mean, we have had the same offensive line for a while. I mean, we were missing Foucault for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but this is the 3rd or 4th game they've played together, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And 5 sacks. Right?
Yeah. But again, it's against, I mean, we seem to play Winnipeg well at Commonwealth.
Yeah.
It just seems to be, last year we lost by 10 when they had been just blowing out other teams. It's not really a moral victory, but.
Right. Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I don't know if you caught the post game from Coach Jones, but well, he was unhappy. Let's just put it
yeah,
that way.
and
And
he
he was,
should be.
and there was no yeah we did well in anything. It was like nope, we did this wrong and this wrong, and we got to clean that up. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Yeah. Don't blame him at all. And 3 tip balls at the line too, and one going into an interception, right?
Right.
So yeah,
Yes, the only interception.
that Winnipeg D did well.
Jerry's
Yes,
also asking a question about what happened to Matt Mangle. He did get injured in the
he did.
game, and so Sergio Castillo had to do double duty, well, triple duty, really, as he had to
Mhm.
do all the kickoffs as well. Yeah, so that again was very tough. Well, Mangle, I think, did the only kickoff we had just to
Correct.
for that to start the game. But then, yeah, he only punted once, and it was not a great punt.
No, and then he was sitting on the trainer's table for a lot of the rest of the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was tough blow when was basically changing field position in the other games, right? So
I believe in the it was either on Twitter or in an interview on I think it was on Twitter. He talked about how if he had to play next week, he would play. So now that he's got a bye week, he can rest up and hopefully he'll be back ready to go against BC.
yeah, that is the hope. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about more fun things. Mike, you got some Horde and Tell for us this evening?
Yeah. So during the game, I was a little late for Westivus because I had been contacted by a couple of the players who wanted me to bring them some stuff. One of
Nice.
them was Eric Blunt, who had a game in 1995 where he set the team record for most touchdowns in a game with 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
That's receiving, running, and returning. Just absolutely amazing. And he had never seen the game since he'd never seen the game. He was in the game, but never seen the broadcast. And he wanted to show his kids. So I finally tracked down a copy and got him a copy. And then I met up with Jed Roberts, who, of course, everyone here should know. He had finally received his pants. Paul had been, I guess he left his pants at Paul's house or something. And no, his pants, I think, would have been from the early 2000s, the white pants.
Mhm.
And Paul had them, and he gave them back to Jed, which I think is a fantastic thing. And Jed was
Awesome.
very excited. His kids could have cared less. And then I also brought over something called 8-up or 10-up sheets. So back in the day when you were on TV and they would talk about a player, they'd always flash up a headshot of a player. And those came to all the media from the teams where they would take headshots and put 8 or 10 on a page. And so I thought I would just show some of these. So this is kind of what they look like. And of course, I know where your eye is going to go right away.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
There we go. There's a little bit of Marco. Look at that hair. So
Look
that's
at
the
that,
79 teams. And then it's just, there's some of the rest there, including Mr. Jim Germany here, who will be
Ooh,
going up
hey.
on that wall of honor. And that's just it's just a book of all of these. So 8 on a page, so 8 up, and then later on, like here in the 90s, we have 10 up. That kind of thing.
Okay, yep.
Hopefully you can see some of those. So I had a few extras and I gave them to Jed to give to rest of his teammates and everything else. Someone to Eric and someone to the other teammates, so they could have their pictures from the 90s were the ones I sort of brought over. So there's a great
nice.
shot of Jed right in the middle.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Yeah,
Look
at that.
Oh, right.
Hair.
Look at Willie being all coy in that picture.
Oh yeah, come on. Absolutely great. So these went up. The ones I've got go up certainly until the 90s, I think, or maybe 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some 90s shots.
Oh, those are 90 shots. Yeah.
Yeah, aren't those lovely?
Wow.
They look like they should have numbers at the bottom, some of them.
I was gonna say some of them we say headshots could double as the other shots. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a shot of Eric Blunt, and that's one of the ones he would have got
Oh
there.
yes.
Leroy Blue. I think there's Mike Sellers is in here back when he was a rookie, and just it's great to sort of see some of these. There's little Jimmy Kemp, who was our quarterback. So these are great little extra headshots. So a lot of times when I get asked, do you have a picture of so and so? This is the first binder I always grab and try to find some of these for people that haven't seen some of these, or people that want to do a tweet with some of these players. So
oh man, that's fantastic. Those are awesome. I know I always come to you saying, hey, do you have a picture of this guy? but
Yeah, it's always Marco. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we both took the joke at the same time.
Yeah. Just saying. Yeah, I'll get a call. So I'll from Dave Jameson, who does stuff with the alumni, often will say, "Do you have a picture of so and so?" And
Yeah,
I'll fire it off to him. So yeah.
Yeah, which on that same note, thank you to Dave Jameson for helping us
Yes.
put up that interview for this evening.
Absolutely.
Because we love you, JMO. Always do. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode with JMO, please do. Although I do apologize if you listen to the audio one. I tweaked it. It should be better this week.
There
It
we
was
go.
a little off on the sound last week, but it was still awesome to hear from JMO. We don't have a game to talk about this week because we're on bye.
Can't lose.
That's right. It's fair. But we do have some pick'ems we could still talk about. Do you want to talk about those?
Oh, let's talk about these.
Oh, I know how excited.
I was a little worried about my pick'em for this week when I thought that I thought Toronto was going to just absolutely mop the floor with Saskatchewan, but then the Argo bounce.
They did win though. That's good. We'll take it.
They did. Thank God for that interception at the end. But yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you haven't watched the game, sorry. All right, but we got 4 games this week that we don't care about any of them. But we'll still talk about them.
I mean, I still want to see some of these teams lose.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know.
So anybody who's playing against Calgary or Saskatchewan. Okay. Okay. First game, Montreal versus Hamilton. That one in the Hammer. We've got BC versus Saskatchewan in the Rectangle. We've got Winnipeg versus Calgary down southward.
Down at McMahon.
Correct. And Ottawa versus Toronto at BMO. So who you got in the games this week, super fan?
Yeah, I think that the first one is going to be a really tough one to sort of play. Both teams have been sort of up and down. We saw Montreal play a little better. We saw more of a good Trevor in the last game, and I said he seems to do that up and down kind of thing. So if that all plays out, then it's going to be bad Trevor this week. And I think Hamilton is Dane Evans has not played up to his own standards or his potential, I think. So I think I'm going to call this one a Hamilton win.
Okay.
BC versus Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is still a bit of a mess. We don't know who's going to be behind center. It could be Dolegala. It could be Fine. It could be Jesus Sprinkles. I'm not sure. Cody Fajitas. But I still think the BC is learning how to be a top tier team, and this is just going to be the next step. So they will take that one. Winnipeg at Calgary. This is again another strong match. It is an undefeated Blue Bomber team going into Calgary. This is probably going to be the closest game of the week, I would think, or certainly one of the best games of the week. Maybe some of the the Ottawa Toronto game might be close, but for a different reason. But I think that that I don't want to say it, but I think Calgary ends Winnipeg's win streak this one, which is disappointing because, of course, we all want Calgary to lose. And then Ottawa versus Toronto. Again, I think that Ottawa is better than their record is, and I think this is the week they finally put it together and they win this one.
Okay. All right, then. So on my side, I agree with you. Hamilton at home. I think they are getting better every week. Dane Evans is starting to kind of learn these things, get better. I like the balance actually that they're using with him and Schultz, and a lot of times having the two of them. I think that helps him too. So I think Hamilton finds a way at home. I totally agree with you, mostly because I am never picking Saskatchewan this year anyway. Go
nice.
BC, and BC should win that game anyway. Winnipeg versus Calgary. That is a tough one, and I as well am going with Calgary, but it's because they're coming off the bye. And
that's what Ken Ludwig is saying. They have 2 weeks to prepare for the Bombers.
Yeah. And Calgary coming off the bye is different than most other teams in this league. They just play different. So I think that gives them an edge. And although Winnipeg has played to the level of their opponent, sometimes down and still won, I do think that Calgary will find a way at home. And then Ottawa versus Toronto. I think I'm going to go with Toronto. I honestly think that they're starting to find ways to win instead of
after this game today.
Yeah. They still found a way to win. Like they still find a way, and their defense is actually quite good. And so I think when they're playing on the road, they have a harder time. They have found ways here and there, but at home they find ways to win. So I'm going to give this one to
So
Toronto.
Owen lives in Ottawa again.
Yeah, which makes me sad. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love Ottawa to win. I'd like for them to get off the schneid and get back up and doing better. But yeah, I don't know, something about it. That's just that's where I think this week. Fantasy football, super fan.
Hmm,
You had Brazilian tie this week.
sure did.
Yep. Or shall I say Brazilian tie had you as he
Yeah.
won that one pretty handily. I was ahead of Ryan Ballantyne the last I checked. I haven't looked in this
Let's take a
particular
quick
moment
look
to see
here,
if
and
that,
we'll
I'll
see.
let you look that up. I'm pretty sure that I did
So,
finish ahead of Ryan because Calgary didn't play this week.
so
I
you
was
had 72.9 points, and Ryan had 50.9.
okay, great. So I won that one.
So I
Perfect.
had 79.8, and I won.
Did you?
I did 80.1.
Really?
I won by 0.3 points over
What?
Brazilian tie.
Oh, dude, because
That
that was
touchdown at the
that
end.
interception touchdown at the end. Oh my God, really? Wow, nice job, Superfan. So
Wow.
we'll stay up
13 points, yeah.
near the top of the leaderboards, and we can hear Brazilian tie swearing from here. That's amazing. Um,
Ah.
this week you get Daltz from Rouge Radio.
Oh, Jorts man.
I get Rod from Wood Cookie Cast. So this should be an interesting week. He
It should.
does a lot in the fantasy world. So
Mhm.
it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Find, of course, all your great shows on CF Pod Network on Twitter. And I think it's cfpodnetwork.ca as well.
Correct.
Yeah, look at that. Neat, eh?
Well done.
I've learned these things somehow. Wow. With Pod Power, our sponsors are making it possible for us to amplify the voices of Albertans and Alberta podcasters. This episode, Edmonton Community Foundation is helping us give a Pod Power shout out to Is This For Real? A podcast about various facets of Black life in Edmonton. In the first season of the show, Breaking the Blue Wall, host Omar Salafu explore the anti-Black racism in policing and tells stories about policing in schools, accountability in Alberta's policing system, and the impacts of police violence on Black Edmontonians. You can listen to the podcast and read more about each episode at isthisforreal.ca. You can also support the work of these podcasters in future seasons on Patreon. Well, that was quite a show, Superfan.
It was. I mean,
Oh.
let's be honest. I'm sure we could have had a 2-hour episode with Mr. Hollimon, and everybody would have just hung on every word, and we just could have sat back and loved it.
Well, the nice thing is he said to contact him whenever. So I'm thinking an off-season episode of just tell us about
Oh.
every season in that 5 in a row. The stories, because I mean, all truth for the people who are, he told us some stories before we got onto
Sure.
the show that were also amazing. And
Yeah.
so we should have him back.
Should write a book, I'm telling you.
Oh
Paul
my goodness.
Reckner did say he loved it. We could just sit back and let him run. So he said,
Yeah.
nicely done by me and even you. So, you know.
Even me. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad I'm getting.
Hopefully your head doesn't get too big. Wait.
Yeah. Well, pretty safe. Yeah, no, that's fine. Superfan, where does everybody find you online?
They can find me at 56 Parkies, and then anything related to history or some of the Horde can be found at the Edmonton Football History Twitter account at EDMHISTOREE.
Wonderful. And you can find me at Freepalicious, and of course, follow the commissioner at Duchess Lombardi. Our APN shout out this week goes to Healthy Lifestyle Design. There's a different podcast.
That is.
It is. A single step can make a positive change in your life. Pamela and her mom, Janet, discuss how to design a healthy lifestyle. Find them and all the other great shows at the Alberta Podcast Network.com.
There it is.
Lovely. Of course, follow our friends at Pay It Forward with Football, who are sending more people to games and continuing to spread kindness.
Yeah.
And they're doing that much better than I can speak. So make sure that you're following them. That's outstanding. Join us, of course, in the huddle at the Turf District. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you're on YouTube Live, stick around for overtime. We've got lots more to chat about. Otherwise, we will be back next week. We're hoping to bring in another player as we get ready for getting back into playing games. Won't that
Very
be exciting?
exciting.
I
Yes.
know, right? Very exciting. Excellent. In the meantime, for Joe Hollimon, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Don't go anywhere. It's overtime.
And we are back for overtime.
We're
Let's
back in the room.
move this around a little bit here. We can get some things all going there the right way. There we are. Lovely.
OT, OT.
OT. Yeah. Woohoo.
Forgot our pom poms. Sorry.
You forgot what? You forgot
I know.
Damn it, Mike. How
I
many
know.
times do I have to tell you?
I tell you, got so many different Edmonton items. I don't have a lot of cheer team items yet.
No? Oh.
No.
Should probably fix that.
I know.
Well, that was I just stopped the Audacity recording in the background. It was an hour and a half because
Worth it.
I think I have all of the original Joe stories in there, which is outstanding.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very good. But yeah, I think we're gonna be all like buzzing all week after that conversation because just a genuinely nice dude. He's like,
Oh, he's
like,
phenomenal.
he thanked us so many times while we were waiting to come back and like, yeah, we'll hang out. We're gonna do that's okay.
Absolutely. I mean, he was a fan favorite when he played. Again, Larry Highbaugh probably got more press at the beginning, just because of his personality alone, plus his skill. But Hollimon was right up there. Like, he probably should have gotten more All-Star nods. But I think for a while people were like, okay, we can't just give the entire Edmonton team the All-Star nod. So we've got to give it to somebody else. So I remember Vince Faison a lot when he left the team. He went to Winnipeg and he burned us quite a few times and enjoyed doing it. So I was always glad when we could beat Winnipeg, which always seemed to happen at the best times, right? So
that's right. Yeah. We're still would be happy if we could beat Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That'd be different now, but we would hope that we could do that.
It never gets old.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, let's delve into the chat, Superfan, and what else do we have to chat about this evening?
Yeah, Jerry, I'd asked earlier about questions for anyone, and Jerry Cooper said he was excited, and I fear any question I ask will sound like Chris Farley on SNL. Mr. Hollimon, remember when you were at the Eskimos? That was awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about for Mr. Hollimon? Not that he started playing with the Elks, and there's Jerry like
yeah. And then Jerry did ask a question, and he had already answered it at that point in one of his other stories. So it asked which receiver that played for Edmonton would have been the toughest to cover, and of course that was Brian Kelly.
That was hilarious when he answered that. He said, Brian, worst receiver to go.
Howdy, dadgum duty.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. Yeah. So no, and I'm glad we got your question answered, Jerry. I know you're a big Hollimon fan, so that was I'm glad that we got that in there. Yeah.
He's wearing the jersey now, I'm sure. So
as he should be. Yeah.
Might maybe able to sleep in it. Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't need to ask.
Probably not.
No, probably. The story about Larry Highbaugh is squeezing the dinner rolls and eating just bread.
Guess what we're doing at next tailgate?
That's right. Everyone gets a squeeze.
We're gonna do a Larry Highbaugh impression.
Just grab a bun, squeeze it, and hand it to somebody.
And then just here.
No,
that's the Larry Highbaugh special.
Yeah.
Trust me. We know.
In his honor. So I am glad that 3 of the 5 defensive backs from that era going up there. We did have Pete Lavorado, and then it was replaced by Mike McLeod at safety. And I don't think McLeod played long enough to go up on the wall. Lavorado did.
Yeah.
Although I don't think he got as many all-star nods. And
Mm.
then the other defensive half spot opposite of Ed Jones was 2 different people, neither of whom made 6 years. So really, the 3 of the 5 that could go in, that were in 78 to 82 as starters, are going to all be on the wall. So that's amazing.
Yeah, because Ed Jones and Joe Hollimon mostly were on the same side, right?
Yeah, pretty
Usually?
much.
Mostly, yeah, not always, but yeah.
No, and they did alternate sometimes, because it's not like now where you'd have field and boundary. You were a left cornerback or a left halfback or whatever, right? So just like linebacker, there was no Sam and Will. It was left linebacker, right linebacker.
Right. Okay.
Back in the day, and you got to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people were, of course, talking about Mr. Kelly running up and down the stairs.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. I mean, I got tired just watching him. So
yeah. Well, he does a lot of incredibly athletic things. That
exactly. I mean, at least I have an excuse. I'm out of shape. So I mean, even if I wasn't, let's be perfectly honest.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to Chris Agra's question. I would love to hear the answer. Maybe when we have him on next time.
Correct.
Are there aspects of today's game you like, and/or other aspects you dislike?
Oh, that would have been a good one. Yeah. Well,
the rules are getting more and more slanted towards the offense, so I'm sure that if he's watching the games currently, I'm sure he's probably got some opinions on that for sure.
My guess is that he would be vocal about it.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I've talked to other people. Jed Roberts is the same. It's just like, come on.
How are we supposed to play the defense?
We're just going to give the offense a participation ribbon next? Come on. After Mr. Hollimon left, a lot of people talking about, for an hour and a half show, that was too short.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Tyler Hill, alum stories are the best. And I have to agree. I really, as much as I love talking to a lot of the players, talking to the alumni, especially ones that it's been a while since they've been here. I mean, we're talking almost 40 years for Joe Hollimon since he's last suited up. That's pretty awesome to be able to have them tell the stories, because there's a lot of love in this city for those players. And I can't wait to see them all get up.
Well, and not only that, but like I forget. He was talking about going to the segregated schools, and his brother coming back so that they could go into the integrated school. And I forget that some of these guys that we'd be talking to would have lived through that. Like, I don't know why, but you just don't.
Well,
you think it's way farther back than it is. And so even that, I'm like, we could do a whole podcast talking to him about that.
When he's in those schools, don't forget Martin Luther King Jr. is alive.
Right.
At this point, right? Like they are they're in Selma. They're like all the different civil rights movement, that new wave civil rights movement at the time was current events for them, right? So and it's something we really can't. I mean, Warren Moon wasn't allowed to be a quarterback 10 years later in 1978 in the NFL.
Right.
Because of the color of his skin. Wasn't drafted. The MOP of the Rose Bowl was not drafted by the NFL.
Unreal, right?
And
would
never happen today.
No.
Warren Moon would not play a single snap in the CFL today.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. So that was it was it's just amazing to hear. Although I do like his story about it would hit the ball, it would actually knock guys out. Like that's pretty. It's like, wow, okay.
Like if you're playing dodgeball with a softball,
like wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's
that's pretty crazy. Jerry Cooper has an interesting question. He said, is Jim Germany going up only the third running back to go on the Wall of Honor? That's a tougher one, because back in the day, I mean, Johnny Bright, of course, was a fullback, as was Normie Kwong. So if you're not counting them, Rolly Miles was a running back. Jack Parker did a lot of time at running back, especially when Don Getty had come in. So if are you counting them or not? So that's where it makes it a little tougher. But yeah, other than that, I mean, who else do we have at running back? That's it.
Well, I think those are I think you just listed all the guys that
Yeah,
could or are running backs. So
right.
yeah,
So that
that's
is it. And when we noticed when we were doing the all-time list of green and gold players by position, the one that was the toughest I thought was running back, just because we haven't had a halfback necessarily who has like been the constant all-star. We had Mike Pringle for 2 years
mhm.
at the end. Um, Again, other than Charlie Turner, the person I've been trying to champion to get on the Wall of Honor is Jim Long Gone Thomas.
Yes.
Anyone that lived through the 60s, and while I was there for the last 8 months of that decade, I wasn't really watching a whole lot of football.
Fair.
Um, he was it. He was the reason people went to games, because I've said it many times, the offensive playbook had 3 plays: long gone left, long gone right, and punt. And that's
Yeah.
all there was, right? So he was the only sizzle that this team had, because we didn't have a whole lot of steak, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that he is more than deserving of being up on that Wall of Honor. Unfortunately, he has passed away a few years ago.
Mhm.
But just like when Bill Stevenson or Frank Anderson went up on the Wall of Honor, their family, I think, should be there. I've been
Yeah.
in touch with Long Gone's daughter, and I
Okay.
have shared some videos with her, and some stories that at least I've heard from other people. And her father deserves to be on that Wall of Honor for what he gave to the city and what he gave to the fans of this city. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Chris Hagar question, roster talk. So I'm assuming the price set by Machocha for VA services are more than the EE are willing to pay.
Ooh,
I've been waiting for this one, just because we did see that meeting notes that they were going to be talking about
right.
Vernon Adams Jr. trade. So I think it might have been. I think that the notes were from um, the Montreal, the owner's notes for
Gary
maybe
Stern.
Machocha. Yeah,
Right.
with Machocha versus his notes to be with Victor Cui. Because I don't think they were just sitting there at that point. So it may have been more a question of, is this something we're going to reach out to try and do? Are we going to see what's going to happen? Whatever. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but maybe it's just one of those things that it's investigation more than a done deal.
Well, and the other part of it might be, yeah, the asking price might be too high.
Could
Uh,
be.
the other part is we now have seen Corn Dog get a bit better.
Yep.
We saw Trey Ford doing well.
And it might be back.
Might be back exactly after the bye week. So is Jones saying, well, let's see what we got first before we give up something that we don't want to give up?
Right. We might be like not willing to pay that based on, if it's a 4th round draft pick, sure.
Right. Yeah,
But even
exactly.
still, right? Maybe Jones is a big believer into the draft. So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll see how that. Well,
yeah,
we've got enough picks now with all those other ones that we traded away. So
yep,
we just have some to move
it's
around with.
true.
But
Uh,
yeah, I think that's kind of where that lands right now.
yeah, Coach Vic is talking about. We mentioned who should from the dynasty era go up on that wall, and he said darn right's more O-line, the foundation of that team. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean we mentioned Eric Upton, who had been on the show
Yes.
many years ago, as someone who had been there this whole time. Of course, we've got Pothier and Stevenson have gone up, who are there for the full 5 years, and then Rod Connup, who was there in '82, and then again till, was it '97?
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say he was
he
around
was he
forever.
was a
Yeah.
long time, but his first year was, so he sort of covers that. But I mean, you're still missing quite a bit, like Leo Blanchard,
Mm,
um, who was up there. Bob Howes, who was the center from '72 to '81. And people forget when they talk about Dave Cutler that Cutler had the same long snapper and the same holder for such a long part of that career from '72 through '81 with Bob Howes and Tom Wilkinson, and that made a huge difference.
right.
So I'd love to see them go up in the Wall of Honor. I don't know if they will. I know that in discussions we've had with Paul Reckner a few times, he talked about that this is before Stevenson and Pothier went up, that maybe they should all go up together because they were such a strong team that they
Right.
should be the 78 to 82 O line, and then list the people that were in it. But now that
Okay.
Stevenson and Pothier have gone up, obviously that's not going to happen. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a tough one because, like, even you've said, like, you could put almost the entire team from 81 up there and it would be like,
yeah,
and it would be worthy. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just like, there's only so much.
yeah, as long as they fit the criteria, and a lot of that 6-year rule is
Mhm.
what I think is keeping. That's why we're never going to see Matt Dunnigan up on the Wall of Honor, because he didn't play 6 years. He was here 83 to 87. So when you're talking to 5 years, sorry, you're not going to qualify, even though you were exceptional and
Right.
everything else, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but so that'll keep some of the players out. But I mean, Waddell Smith, is he Wall of Honor worthy? I would personally say yes, but other people might say no.
Right.
Um, would he have been a starter on every other team in the league? Absolutely. But
Yep.
unfortunately, he was playing on a team with Tom Scott and Brian Kelly and George McGowan and some of these guys that were just, that elite type of players, Hall of Famers, right? All of
Right.
them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a little tougher, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's a great discussion. I can sit around and drink a beer and talk about that kind of question for, hours.
Oh yeah.
So,
Can
and
I
we
be
are
part of
available for that.
it?
So
Yeah,
just
exactly. I
saying,
was just gonna say,
if
yeah.
anyone wants to take us out for beer and wings and talk about that, we're in.
I'm in just to sit
So,
there and
yes.
listen to Mike talk.
So,
Okay.
they were, uh, some people were talking. Ken Ludwig saying, I don't think I've ever seen a team have the ball for over 37 minutes and lose. Jerry Cooper says that it's funny, but Sask had over 37 minutes possession as well this week.
Oh, is that interesting?
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Farther down in the comments, only just because we were just talking about it,
Mhm.
Cliffy did say, for what it's worth, Vernon was limited in practice today with an elbow issue.
Interesting.
And I want to give Coach Vic this is a good comment for that, was no more knee-jerk reactions. Don't trade for immediate help. Think long-term.
Yep, I agree. The only reason I'd like Vernon Adams coming here is because I think he'd be a great mentor for Trey Ford, right?
I 100% agree with that.
Because they have a very similar, can't really compare their styles that much, but they are both exceptional athletes. They
Mhm.
both love to use their feet and do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
For
I agree.
us.
Yeah. For
I don't think it'd be great for Montreal, but I think it'd be
Sure.
great for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We had a quarterback to go on the other side. But anyway, that's good. Yeah. All right. Next up. Sorry, I didn't mean to step
Not
over
at
that.
all. Coach Vic is saying that Winnipeg's struggles on offense were because our defense was playing so good. When they
Mhm.
did make mistakes, Winnipeg made the most of them. So that was it. That busted coverage on the Dalton Schoen touchdown, obviously near the end of the
Great for
half.
fantasy, sucked as a fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Agar might have the line of the podcast. As discussed at West of Us, my hair was safe.
Yes, that's what, I think that was the first thing I said to him when I saw
Yeah.
him. The rest of us is, you know what? Your hair is safe. Yeah.
Yeah. For those that missed last week, Chris had pledged that had anyone, not just Deron Carter, made a return touchdown in the game, punt return, kick return, whatever, missed field goal return, some sort of kick return touchdown, he was going to cut his hair. And yeah, that didn't even come close.
No.
Didn't even need to rummage in his bag for the Clippers at that point. But
No.
yeah.
No.
And
I think the
he
farthest we
was,
got was the 40.
yeah, I mean, he was certainly looking around to see, charities and everything else. But yeah, it was safe. And then, of course, we saw a few in the game today. And yeah,
Of course.
we might get a interception return touchdown or a fumble return, but we're not going to get any kick return touchdowns.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Coach Vic is just reminding everyone that Deron Carter did miss all of training camp. It was the first day of camp when he injured his, was it his foot or his ankle or his heel?
I think it was ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he missed the first 6 games. So,
Mhm.
Dave Winchester, of course, as roughing the kicker, definitely hurt big time. And like you said, that was probably the turning point of the game at that point. It just sort of.
Oh, it was the dagger. You were going to get the ball back with and only down by 7.
Yeah.
I think there was 5 or 6 minutes left in the game.
And it
Like,
put a lot of pressure, would have put a pressure on Winnipeg, who it was expected to win this game handily. Nobody outside of the province was, and really the north half of the province was picking Edmonton to have even a chance. So,
correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Tim Capper, ever the ray of sunshine, says, so the Elks' current 11-game home losing streak is tied for third most in league history. The league record for the longest consecutive home losing streak is 14. So only 3 away. However, I believe Tim later says that he does not believe that the Elks will set a new record.
Well, that was nice of him to turn that around after he's being such a gloomy Gus. We appreciate that.
Well, to be fair, we all picked against his team in Pick'em, so
that's true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But that was later on in the show. Come on, that was he didn't know that was coming. Yeah, no. Well, I think even Dave Campbell was saying, like, you look at the August schedule and they could get 3 for 4, like with at least one home win in there. So we'll see.
Come on, home win.
Come back from the bye. We're playing in BC. I can't imagine. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I don't think it'll be. It's going to be a difficult win, even coming off of a bye week against BC, unless something goes weird with them this week against Saskatchewan.
But Saskatchewan is beatable.
I agree.
And that's the home game. Then we play in Ottawa, then against Ottawa again. It is super hard to win both games of a back-to-back. Yes. So hopefully we can, but I'm hoping we can win them both. We'll see.
That would be great. Yeah. Although we do have a hard time winning in Ottawa for some reason, but we maybe that'll change.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, just a little historic trivia nugget there. In 1961, we started doing what was called a partial interlocking schedule, because previous to that, we did not play Eastern teams. We only played Western teams other than preseason and Grey Cup against any Eastern teams. And 61 was the first year we had lost to Ottawa in the 60 Grey Cup. We beat them in Ottawa that year. And then we did not beat them again in Ottawa until 1981, which is the first year we went to fully interlocking schedule where we played home and away versus all the teams. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a nice 20-year swing where we did not win in Ottawa. So let's not have that anymore.
Let's not. Right. Yeah. We could change that now.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone seemed to really enjoy this. Is sort of ending right before we started OT. Jerry Cooper, of course, was probably enjoyed that as much as we did, talking to Joe Hollimon. Even Supermom said it was a great show tonight. Mr. Hollimon is amazing. I don't think there's anybody here that would disagree with that statement.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are people that are great talkers, and there are people who are maybe were great players, but not necessarily good talkers. Joe is a guy that was great at playing and is great at telling stories. So
yes,
I think that was a home run for us to mix metaphors there. So
yeah, well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that 28-5? Is that what that was? That was the score on Friday with the Blue Jays?
It was the Red Sox and Blue Jays.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have beat. They would have beat.
They would have beat the Bombers. Yeah,
exactly. For sure.
Yeah,
It's true. Paul Reckner does say that we had a Sling Nasty episode. Sling Nasty could become a thing, says Chris Agar. Gotta love Matt. Speaking of Matt, or people named Matt,
yes,
our very own Matt Preddy was participated in the commercial timeout. They had the Price is Right. Chris Sheets would display items from, was it Save On Foods?
Yep. Sure is.
So I was going to say advertising doesn't work very well if I don't know where it was from, but and yeah, he got the first two right off the bat and won. I think it was it smoked salmon and ribs? I think
and ribs, and then they were comparing it to cheese.
Right.
Like there was ones that I was like, oh, I don't even know if that's going to be right or not, but he got them right. So
these are a few of my favorite things. Yeah. So Matt won. I think it was a gift card to Save On Food. So
he did.
Power to him. So that was awesome to just sort of get up there. I looked over at the scoreboard. I'm like, I know that guy.
We were from our seats. We could see him lining up to do the bit, and so Chad's like, "Isn't that Matt?" I'm like, what? And I'm looking down thinking he means like Matt O'Donnell on the
Right.
side or something like that. He's like at the save on thing. I'm like, oh, Matt Pretty. Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
that's
that is
awesome.
one Matt Pretty. That was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely. Just
Neat when you know the person, right? That's
yeah,
kind of cool.
and especially when they win.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Coach Vic says, "Give us the bun. We don't want you squeezing our buns." It's not what you
Fair.
said at. That's not what he said at tailgate.
Correct.
Chris Agar, always in my corner, says, "Mike, round is a shape." That is true.
Oh, yes. That's nice. Yes. That's
I
good.
do have the body of a god. Unfortunately, it's Buddha.
Correct. I share that
Yeah. So
life form with you. Yes.
also, Chris Agar was saying, "I'm pleasantly surprised with Corn Dog's improvement. I'm not as uncomfortable with him behind center." I think that's something that we really haven't talked about as much is that Cornelius's play has improved so much from the 2021 season.
And even from camp.
True.
Because I know at camp we were watching that battle pretty closely
And putting him in fourth, yeah.
Yeah, and he was having like a rough go, but now like lights come on, it seems to be better, right? That's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah,
power to him.
I'll be the first to say I was ready to rate it off as soon as it's like, okay, here we go. Here comes the bad interception, but he's proved me wrong. So he's done very well.
Absolutely.
Needs a W, but he's, yeah. But other than that, yeah.
Don't we all?
Well, I guess he did get the win against Montreal, didn't he?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, he did get it. He needs more W's.
He needs a home win.
Home W would be nice. Yes. Yeah.
Let's just win out. Ken Ludwig, interesting viewpoint. I know that the commish loves VA, but Machocha can keep him.
Oh, all right then. Not a VA fan. All right then.
Cliffy D says, Tim and I set what we think the asking price should be for VA on last week's pod. Not sure if Machocha would concur or not.
Okay.
As fans, obviously we tend to value the players, especially players as good and as likable as these people often are. Maybe higher than other teams and other teams' fans do. But I think Vernon Adams is one of those guys that is so likable. Fans of all teams really appreciate him for sure.
Correct. Yes, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim also says, or as Danny Mac told Herb of the Gazette, VA was taking a maintenance day.
Ah, okay. Well,
so
maybe that other trade is coming. We just don't know yet. And it might not be here. Like that's the other thing too, right? Like
yep.
There's a few places now that are kind of looking at quarterbacks, whether that's, I mean, Ottawa kind of has their sums kind of set now with getting Arbuckle and that type of thing.
Right.
But Saskatchewan's got to be wondering when with Fajardo hurt and everybody going through different protocol, who knows, right? So
although Dolegala I thought had a decent game once he sort of got into it. Like by that second half, he was playing a lot better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and I was just saying that I think that there'll be teams that will be looking around anyway. So who knows?
Absolutely. Ken Ludwig's asking, any idea how long the team gets off this week before returning to practice? I think that because our game is on a Saturday, usually they do a Tuesday is day 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the game itself. So I think Tuesday, what is that going to be? The 2nd?
That'll be the 2nd. Yeah.
Might be the first day back but they might need to be back earlier to, go over film and things like that. So, but working on the field, I think it won't be until Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think this week they should be off entirely. So shouldn't be around. But.
And Ken's got a great point. I want to see how Ben Holmes throws the ball this week in practice.
Okay. Yeah, or next week.
I was going to say next week, but yeah. But the point is still there.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
I actually have that week off. Maybe I can even pop into a practice. We'll see.
Oh, you have a week off? What is that?
Supermom's in town.
Ah, the Supermom is here.
That's right.
You gonna jump in on the podcast recording just for fun, or?
Oh, she would love to, I'm sure.
Yeah, see, we could do that.
She lives for it. She keeps asking me every week, when can I be on? Much like your own mother, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. Or my wife.
Or your wife. Exactly.
When do I get to come on? Yeah.
She said never. Our children, yes, they are asking all the time. But
yes, I do have children.
At least one, or two, yeah.
Yeah, one in particular. The other one's like whatever.
Been there.
Exactly. Yeah. Coined a
All right.
phrase. I don't need to go back. Yeah.
Exactly. Chris Agar, I continue this pledge for the season. I would
Okay.
love it if hashtag CFL family would put up cash for kids with cancer. I chatted with Mr. Cui at the game about it, and he said he'd like to chat about the effort.
Aha. And that is for, and then I believe it's for a kickoff return, correct?
A kick, or is it a kick or punt or missed field goal? Like any
I think
kick
he said,
return?
didn't he say it in the chat right above there? He did. The terms are KR, kickoff.
Kickoff
Kick return.
only. Oh, so but again, we haven't had a punt return, kick return, missed field goal
Like
return.
nothing. Yeah,
We've had nothing since 2015.
correct. So, yeah, it'd still be pretty safe at this particular moment, but still,
Let's be honest. Yeah.
kickoff return. Okay, so basically, when somebody gets free groceries for a year from Save On from us, then Chris is getting rid of his hair.
That
That
seems fair.
That's what it is. Sorry, I just saw Super Mom say,
Yeah. She's busily trying to rebook her flight.
yeah.
Couldn't make it. Sorry. Damn swoop.
Whoops. Yeah. Jeez. Come on now. Yeah.
So it says, kick return. But again, they're all kind of kick returns. Anyway. Coach Vic is saying that Dolegala is 6'7" tall. Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty tall for a quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
It was weird on the podcast. They said, he's one of the tallest guys in the league. I'm like, have you seen offensive linemen?
Yeah, they're all like 6'8", 6'9". Yeah, like
woo! Okay, fine. Any kick punt return, because that makes it so much easier for us.
Oh, good. Yay, Chris. Good job. Yeah. Any kick punt return is perfect. I like this.
I mean, you're still probably fine.
Correct. Yeah, you're probably still safe, but it's good to have some motivation. Yeah.
I mean, eventually maybe like any home win, any
just find any way to make this happen. Yeah. Any home win. I'll do it on a first down. Yeah, no, I get it.
a touchdown.
Well, I think touchdown. That'd be the first place to start. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
let's take some wins.
Home
playoff date.
Lovely. I like this. This is all coming together well.
I'll be long retired at that point, it feels like. Ken Ludwig's got a point. Cornelius is 6'5".
Right. So they're really not that much different. Yeah. So
no, but still 6'7". I mean, you can see over most everybody at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw Ken saying that I'm not sure they will get the whole week off. I think they do. I don't think there'll be a practice this week.
I think what he's talking about is because we lost.
Yeah, well, maybe, but yeah, I still think that I think they are going to give them the break because they've been like, there's teams that have had 2 buys already, and this is now our first, right? Winnipeg can say the same thing. They haven't had a buy yet either, but they've won every game. We haven't had that. Yeah, so they feel fine, right? Whereas we need you got to take that mental break before you get back in and let the physicality heal a little and then come back up. So I think
because isn't Toronto 3-2 right now and we're 2-5?
Correct. Yeah.
Like, good Lord.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, even when you looked at if they did the lineup for the game tonight, and it's Toronto at 2-2 and Saskatchewan at 4-2.
Yeah. It's like back in the day when
2 more games than the other, but yeah.
Well, like I said, it's like back in the day when the East played 2 less games in the regular season than we did.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
We played 16 and they played 14 up until like 1981.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair.
So if you got traded from East to West, sometimes you're like, wait a minute, I'm getting paid the same thing. I got to play 2 more games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah. That would be, Anyway, it all works out in the end, I know, but it's just like, wow. Yeah. Okay. But I think, they've got a week. Take it. Now they may come back and have film on the Monday.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Right.
But they'll be practicing on the field, probably not till Tuesday.
Yeah.
But who knows, right? We'll see.
Yeah. Exactly. I was hoping that they practice on the Monday because I have that day off so I could actually go. But
that is a holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's
stat holiday. So
yeah. So but
again, I've got Supermom in town, so we'll see.
Exactly. We'll still be recording that night because I'm still working on a guest.
Okay. We will see how it goes for sure.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think that's catching us up.
All right, perfect. Excellent. Well, that was a lot of fun, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of Overtime. Thank you for being part of the YouTube chat and adding your questions in
Yeah.
for Mr. Hollimon. We'll try and get him back when we can have a longer chat and more questions from everybody, because I could have just kept spinning questions off of his stories that we could have kept going forever, but I want to,
100%.
yeah, we'll let the man have a little bit of a break, and but yeah, we'll get him back for sure, and hopefully in August we'll be able to meet him face to face, and
Yes.
Mike can get his jersey signed, because he's got
As long as he doesn't steal it, we're good.
that's right. He did say he was going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
that'd be fun.
We need a big glass case here.
Yeah, here. Yeah, you can sign the etch mark on the front, because that's not. Yeah, I don't want you to take it. Anyway,
Would really appreciate it. Yeah.
he could probably still outrun both of us, so we won't want to.
Way to set the bar low. But yeah.
Right? Exactly. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for being part of it, like I said, and make sure that you tell all your CFL family and Elks friends about us, so that we can have a few more people getting into the show, both on YouTube and in the audio format. Hey, even if you don't listen to it, if you could just download it, that's fine. That would be helpful.
Like, subscribe, ring that bell.
Exactly. And leave reviews where you can. Easy for me to say, as those are definitely helpful as well. So thank you again for joining us. For Superfan Mike and Commissioner Kayla, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.